Okay, let's see how TNA followed up with Against All Odds. To start us off, Samoa Joe lost a match to Orlando Jordan in 3.5 minutes. Oh, shit! Oh, God. Oh, my God, that was horrible. Ugh. Look, about this bisexual threesome angle that they're doing with Jordan. Let me preface this by saying one thing, alright? I don't have a problem with homosexuality, bisexuality, whatever your preference is. That's fine. That's great. Do whatever makes you happy. I don't care. It makes no difference to me. I've known gay people. I've never had a problem with any of them. I'm not a hateful or bigoted person. Having said that, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch two dudes making out. I'm sorry. I'm not into that stuff. It's not for me. You know, the alternative male sexuality theme as a form of exploitation in the media has never appealed to me. If you like it, that's cool. I just don't care to see it on my wrestling show, especially under circumstances like this. Now, I have watched and do watch TV shows that have gay characters in them, and as long as these characters are portrayed tastefully and not in an exploitative way, then I'm fine with it. But if they go as far with this gimmick as I've heard Bischoff wants to, then it will be exploitative. Believe me. And in this case, it's not the bisexuality thing that I find objectionable, it's the fact that bisexuality is apparently going to be used as part of some angle to garner cheap heat for a no-talent loser that has no chance of getting over. And isn't that enforcing negative stereotypes, asking fans to boo a character because he's bisexual? I don't know. And I'm probably not the right person to be commenting on this, because this whole idea is just something I wish TNA would stay away from. I mean, Orlando Jordan is a big enough ratings killer already without this bisexual threesome angle that's bound to make a lot of people in the male 18 to 35 demographic pretty uncomfortable. Anyway, TNA or Spike TV edited out all the gay kissing stuff, so hopefully this idea will be scrapped before it goes any further. In the meantime, there's something else that we should be much more concerned with about this situation. The fact that Samoa Joe got jobbed out in 3.5 minutes to this douchebag. Right now, Samoa Joe is more over than he's been since before his world title reign. Now is when you should be capitalizing on this and pushing Joe as an unstoppable badass killing machine. He should not be jobbing to a nobody like Jordan. Jordan is boring in the ring, crappy on the mic, never gotten over, never drawn a dime in his whole career. And that's the problem with this guy. That's the real problem. I don't care if there's a storyline reason that Joe is losing matches because he's hot-headed and can't keep his temper under control or something like that. First of all, they did a similar storyline with Joe last year, so this is just totally redundant to begin with. But Samoa Joe should not be losing matches to a waste of money like Orlando Jordan under any circumstances. But enough about all that. Look, we actually had some very good stuff on the show this week. We had a really good X Division 8-man tag match. Wasn't very long, of course, but they packed in a lot of action into those few minutes. And we saw the return of Kaz. That was pretty cool. I mean, regardless of the the things he's done in his personal life recently, I can still be a fan of Kaz the wrestler. Suicide didn't seem to be over anymore. It was definitely time to kill off that gimmick and bring Kaz back. So they can throw Kiyoshi into the Suicide costume if they want to. That's fine. I don't really care. They weren't doing anything with Kiyoshi anyway, and this way we get Kaz back, and that's great. Another thing I appreciated was the segment with Hogan and Abyss. I mean, the segment itself was campy and cheesy as all hell, but what I liked was that Hogan was saying the same stuff about Abyss that I've been saying for a long time now. And I mentioned this in the last video. I mean, this segment was dumb, but if we get the old Abyss back, then it should be worth it. I mean, I don't see why he needs Hogan's Magic Hall of Fame ring to do that, but if this leads to Abyss getting his monster on again, then let's go for it. What the hell? I do not like this teasing of the unmasking of Abyss, though. I mean, I don't know what what Bischoff has against masks, but to this day, he still will not admit that it was a mistake to unmask Rey Mysterio, and now he wants to unmask Abyss? Why? The mask makes him stand out from the crowd. It makes him different, just like Kane's mask did once upon a time. And can anyone honestly say that Kane has been better off since he lost his mask? I don't like where this is going. Anyway, it looks like they're finally doing something with Daphne. That's good. And we saw her go batshit crazy on Tara, get herself DQ'd. I will get on board with a Daphne push in a heartbeat. But problem is, Daphne hasn't won a match in almost a year. I mean, she's been like the designated knockout beat-up dummy for ages, and now all of a sudden she's beating the hell out of Tara? Where did that come from? You can't just book someone like a jobber for 8, 9, 10 months, however long it was, and then from out of nowhere push them like a force with no build-up. That didn't work for Christy Hemme last year, and it's not going to work for Daphne now. She needed to at least be built up in the undercard with some wins over a couple jobbers before they had her destroy Tara like this. So I say, yay to a Daphne push, boo to how it's being executed. Like I said, I'm totally behind a Daphne push. They just have to present it the right way. So hopefully the writers will do some work on that. Now, two best things on this show. Probably the two best things on the show in a while. It was bookended by two great promos. Well, almost bookended. The Kurt Angle promo didn't go on last. That was the stuff with Nash and the band, again. But I'm talking about the promos with Pope and Ric Flair and Kurt Angle, Ken Anderson. I said this a couple weeks ago. I don't remember if it was on here or on QCW Radio. But one thing I really wanted to see was the Pope and Ric Flair in the ring cutting promos on each other. Totally unscripted. Just give them a mic and let them go. I don't know how scripted this exchange was, but it was pretty damn good. Okay, Pope came off like a superstar in this segment. I mean, if you're going to have a promo exchange with Ric Flair, one of the best promos of all time, you better not fuck around. But Pope brought his A game, and he delivered. And if TNA want the Pope to have a chance to be a draw as a main eventer when Lockdown comes around, this is the stuff they need to be doing more of with him. And if you got a guy who can hold his own against Ric Flair on the mic and look like a bigger star after than he did before, that's somebody you get behind. The only downside of this segment, unfortunately, was AJ. And AJ, God bless him, but being in the ring with Pope and Ric Flair made it so obvious just how much he was outshined on the microphone. I mean, I don't think it's helping him that this Ric Flair Jr. gimmick he's doing really doesn't play to his strengths at all. I don't believe him as this type of character. I just don't. But the stuff with Pope and Ric Flair, fantastic. Also great was the stuff with Kurt Angle and Ken Anderson. Kurt Angle's promo was awesome. Not surprising since it was probably about 90% shoot. It's like a lot of us say on here, raw emotion is what sells. And that's what Kurt Angle showed here. And Anderson was hilarious, mocking Kurt for getting emotional and then beating him down. I mean, if you didn't care about seeing these guys fight before this segment, you care about seeing them fight now. This was very, very compelling stuff. The only thing I didn't like was the match beforehand. I mean, if Kurt Angle had to squash someone in 60 seconds before he cut his promo, did it have to be Christopher Daniels? I mean, did it have to be? I mean, Daniels was headlining pay-per-views for the world title a few months ago, and now he's a 60-second jobber? That sucks. But, aside from that, aside from the band still monopolizing the main event segment for some ungodly reason, and aside from the unpleasantness that I talked about at the start of the video, aside from those things, this was a pretty good Impact. I mean, yes, there was too much talking in the second hour, but the talking segments were very good. So, all things considered, I'm tempted to say that there were enough good things on this show to offset the atrocity of Samoa Joe getting jobbed out to Orlando Jordan. Fuck me. Fuck.